Welcome to Season 2 of Nexus of Narratives. If you are a new listener, welcome. If you have been listening since the beginning, welcome back. I have been sick for over a week and used an AI voice for this opening. Trust me, it is much better than what my voice sounds like right now. If you have not yet, I invite you to join the new and growing community on Patreon. Tiers start at $1 per month for early release episodes. Additional tiers include exclusive content, live community conversations with me, opportunities to join as live virtual audience for recordings, and more. Search Nexus of Narratives on Patreon or click the link in the show notes. It is a small and vital way to support keeping this podcast going and with perks that make it well worth the investment. Don't be fooled by the lights, mics, or set. This is an extremely grassroots production, and all support is extremely impactful. And on that note, the grassroots nature is a beautiful way to demonstrate to every listener that, yes, you can also have these courageous conversations anywhere, anyhow. Today, I invite you to join me in a conversation with Kathy about pivotal life moments that led her to pursue her purpose in life, supporting others to achieve excellence, no matter where they come from. It is a fun and uplifting episode that warmed my heart, and I hope you can also feel the love and joy as you listen. For listeners to be aware, this story does mention gun violence. Without further delay, let's listen to this fantastic conversation with Kathy. See you back here wherever you like to watch or listen next Monday for the next regularly scheduled conversation.
Welcome to Nexus of Narratives. Here we are.
Thank you for inviting me.
In Cabo.
I know. Can you believe it? We're doing this in Cabo.
We're in a hotel room in Cabo.
Yeah.
And so we could do it by the pool. That'd be another option.
Well,
a little
the
loud.
only problem with that, it's a little loud.
A little
And
distracting.
there's a wedding about to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there were fireworks a moment ago.
Yeah.
So
okay.
any background noise might be that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Welcome, Kathy.
Yes.
The one and only Kathy.
The one and only Kathy.
The marvelous Ageless
was
what came up. And
Ageless.
So you've been pivotal in supporting my personal growth. I know I can't give you the credit for it.
Yep.
And just this woman who's an absolute force of nature. And for me, been personally inspiring, in realizing I can be spicy, I can be fabulous, and I can take no BS and still be a phenomenally impactful person.
Yes.
And I feel like you embody that so tremendously.
Well, I appreciate that greatly.
So if you were to run into someone in line at a coffee shop, you have a few moments to introduce yourself high level, what would you say?
My standard answer when someone asks me, because otherwise it gets way too complicated.
Yeah.
I say I do leadership trainings for people. Sometimes corporations, sometimes individuals, and sometimes groups of individuals. Like, how can we be the most effective human being possible?
I love that. Beautiful. I've actually coined my coaching as saying leadership coaching. And if that's self-leadership or team leadership, it's the same juice.
Yeah.
I love
perfect.
it. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dig in.
I love it.
Let's go straight into it. You just gave me the highest level right before we hit record. So
okay, good.
What are you here to share with us?
Well, okay. So first of all, you asked me pivotal moments in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so anytime anyone ever asks me, there's really 4 big ones. But the first one is when I was 15 years old. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. And I went to Westside High School. And I was doing something that you were probably not supposed to be doing. And I was smoking some weed outside with a couple of friends of mine. And so now I have to come back into class, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I have a big bag of red licorice. And Mr. McCormick, my sociology teacher, stopped me. And in my mind, I'm going, I'm completely busted. I'm going to get in so much trouble. And he goes, hey, want to go across the street and get a soda and talk? And I'm still thinking to myself, I'm busted. And we went across the street and we started talking, and Head Start was coming to Omaha, Nebraska, and they were looking for volunteers. And so I was like, oh, I don't know what it is, but it sounds great. And so that, first of all, that was the last time I smoked pot. And every Wednesday I started going down to South Omaha. My mom would take me down there, drop me off, and I would help in the school with the kids.
So what did that look like for Head Start for anyone who isn't
So I believe it started in Chicago, and it was for inner city kids and to get assistance with early education, especially for kids that didn't have any place to go. And so all these kids were really young, and they were anywhere between 3 years old, in my particular room, anywhere between 3 years old and 6. And so it was almost like a preschool type thing, but also working with them and teaching them things, like helping with them or having them do artwork or helping them with their reading. And it made such a huge difference in my life. And then I started to tutor a family, the Kennedy family, and I had a blast. And I would bring them to my house, and I'd go to their house and just helping them with their schoolwork. And it really changed how I looked at people.
So then how did that change? So what was the way that you looked at people before and then after, and what was that kind of transformation?
I don't think I noticed, to be perfectly honest with you. I think I was pretty caught up in my little people and playing golf and my friends. And it opened my eyes to a whole different world. And I definitely got much more compassion and empathy, and just that there's things out here in the world that we need to do and needs to get done. And so if I have a resource that I can give to them, then I'm going to do that.
And I feel like that's the theme of how you show up in the world
100%.
And so
and it was fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I laughed so hard with these kids.
Yeah. What were some of your favorite moments with kiddos?
Dancing. And whether they were 5 years old or 15 years old, because I'm not a great dancer. And so they love making fun of me. And I was a good sport.
They're ruthless. Kiddos.
And then there was a transition when I went to college, and I met a woman that was really involved in with the American Indian movement. And so I started doing some volunteer work in my first year at University of Nebraska. And then that just wasn't really the school for me. It was too big. And so I changed schools and I went to American University. And so, this is kind of a funny story. So my dad, I had to get a job. And so I'm like, okay. So I went to work at Hamburger Hamlet, which was like, this beginning chain on the East Coast. And I remember I was in training for like a week. It's opening day of the restaurant. And so I'm in the kitchen, I'm making this hot fudge sundae for somebody. And the manager comes over and tells me I have too much hot fudge on it. And I'm like, what? I'm like making it how I would want it, right? No. You can only put this much on. And I'm like, oh, this is never going to go for me. And so I'm like, this is not my cup of tea. And so then I'm like, okay, I got to figure out something because, So it turns out that a professor told me that they were looking for an internship. So I'm telling the story because it all kind of comes back together. And so I went and I applied and I got the internship. And it was doing legal research for the Wounded Knee trials that were being held in Lincoln, Nebraska. William Kunstler was the primary lawyer. And so when I called my dad and said, well, do you want the good news or the bad news? And he goes, either one. I said, well, I don't really technically have a job. However, I am doing something that I will get credits for. So that is, technically speaking, money that helps tuition. And so anyway, so I did all this research and they actually used it. And so when I went home for Christmas, my dad drove me down to Lincoln, Nebraska, and we have very different political viewpoints. But he drove me down there, and I went to the court for like all week and met William Kunstler. And then that was when Marlon Brando was super big on supporting the American Indians. So it was like a highlight and super cool.
Huge historical moment.
Yeah.
Too.
History.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Okay. So then how did that kind of transform your views? Because I feel like these different moments, you likely had some different perceptions going into these spaces. And then with new information.
I don't even know if I was conscious of it. Meaning, like I was always, oh, that sounds interesting. Oh, I want to learn something about that. Oh, what can I? And it wasn't like, it was just, I was drawn to it. I was more drawn. And, then some personal things happened in college and in my family. And I was just like, oh my God, this is too much. And so I went to Southern California with my friends from Omaha. We sat on the beach for a little while and then realized we probably really need to get jobs. And so that led to a career in advertising. And so there was just, when you sometimes feel like you just give, and you're not replenishing yourself. So I was doing the give. And then I went 180 degrees and started more thinking about what I could get. And then realized that, okay, this is not going anywhere.
Just like that.
Yeah, like,
transactional.
This is just not going anywhere. And so that's when I took my first class. And when I sat in that class in the basic seminar, I was in awe of, like, it was like my light got relit inside of me, because I'm in this class with 150 people from all walks of life, all color of skins, all economic levels, didn't matter. And I'm just like, wow. And I really felt like this is a way to bridge what's happening in the world. So it relit what got lit at 15 years old.
Oh,
is the truth.
Wow.
So it was always, and it's like things like when I, and as I went through all the classes and then I started teaching and I was home and I was reading the paper. That is how long ago it is, And so I missed the newspaper, like being delivered every day. And so I'm sitting in my kitchen, I'm reading this article in the San Francisco Chronicle. And it's talking about this program that the San Francisco police have. And it's called Operation Dream. And they're talking about how they go into the projects in San Francisco and they want to create the community to have a different relationship with the police. And so they take kids fishing, skiing, and then they'll go into the community and do barbecues. Like they were like, we just don't want them to see us as the guy that arrests them, right? Like there's more to it.
I think our world needs that right
now.
Yeah.
And also is like, they probably were the one that arrested like somebody's older brother or dad. It is true. However, like teaching them that they're not bad people. Mm-hmm. And this particular, so I was reading this article. I'm super touched by it. Like, this is cool. So I call up, it says, if you want more information, call Officer Cliff Cook. And so I called him and I go, hi, my name is Kathy Quinlan and here's what I do for a living. And I'm thinking that, I think we could do something for you.
That's beautiful. So a theme in these conversations has been, and this one also, but in all of them that I've had thus far, compassion, get to know other people and their experiences to build greater awareness, open the mind, open the heart, hear the story, and just like the officers, you are also a human.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
And similar, whether it's at-risk youth or, you're also a human. Mm-hmm. Whether it's in the class, you're also a human with an experience that has a life that's gone like this. Mm-hmm. And we all have our different moments. And I appreciate your fleeing to the beach.
It was super fun.
I'm sure it is. And then, I kind of hopped off the train and then found that passion again. And it makes me wonder, like, how many people have those moments but don't connect the dots of, oh, wait, this is where my heart is, and kind of like fall off the path but don't come back on. And to go from transactional, I'm giving, okay, but I'm giving so much, I actually had a reflection about that recently, about some old lost friendships, where I had realized as I was putting together, I had food across the entire kitchen island. People couldn't even eat a third of it. Like, it was way too much food. But I realized as I was putting this together, like, oh, this time feels different because I'm giving out of love. I'm not expecting anything in return. I'm giving because I want people to have a wonderful time, be nourished. And it brought me joy, as opposed to in the past, in different interactions where I'm feeding big groups of people, always buying dinner, always stocking the fridge. I'm like, when are you going to buy me dinner?
Yeah.
And it never happens.
Yeah.
And I held so much resentment in the past towards that. And I realized the transformation in me was now I was acting out of love rather than expecting anything in return.
I think that when you really get that concept and it really gets inside of you, it lessens your expectations. And because we all have expectations, but we don't, instead of putting them on people, it makes life easier. It really does.
Yeah.
That's cool. Are you a really good cook?
When I have the time and the brain capacity to do it, if I don't get squirrely, that's the challenge. If I don't get distracted, the food's great. If I get distracted, there's hockey pucks on the grill. So striking that balance is it. But I'll put together a great spread, whether I made it or collected it from other places. So now you reignited with your passion, took the initiative, gave the call. What was that moment? What were some of those moments like for you?
Fabulous. So I was like, head on, we're going to do this. Is going to be great. I can take them to the ranch and we could create a program. We could do this, we could do that. So I literally go into the, I think it was at the Hall of Justice. And I walk in and these cops are like gigantic, right? And they're huge buffed arms. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm sure they took one look at me and went, oh, great. Another do-gooder. And so I sat down and just explained everything that we do. And we could do this and we could do this. And they're just so excited. And so like, okay, we'll get the kids. But here's the deal, Kath. We'll be the cook. And I go, whoa. We have a cook in the kitchen at the ranch. Now, I don't think you all know how to make the kind of food our kids like. And I'm like, I think this is semi prejudice here, right? And and that just had funny moments in itself. And so anyway, so it turns out that they do get the kids, and the kids arrived. Fast forward, this was in I think February, and they came in June. And long story about how we had this is going to be perfect. It's all perfectly planned. I have the greatest people volunteering. Raised all this money, did all this stuff. Well, they got there about 11 o'clock. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we tore up that agenda and said, nope, not going to work. By the first day, everybody looks like they're haggard, right? And so my husband was the head of the volunteers. And so everybody's just like, oh, what the hell did we get ourselves into, right? And so Gary does this whole speech to him about, okay, we're a football game. We're a football game. And the truth is, they're kicking our ass. And everybody, they're 10. Get a grip. And the truth is, some of them were like 7 and 8, but they lied on their forms. And so what I found out is that the kids were literally on the, the curb of the road, sitting there at 6:30 in the morning, waiting for the bus to come pick them up. They were so excited. Now, when they got there, they're acting all like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so funny. But by the 5th day, they don't want to leave.
Mm.
And really, for some of them, probably the safest sleep they've ever had in their life. And so then I'm sitting there and I see these, and there's like 6 boys that they got in trouble all the time. And so I go up to them and I go, hey, I live in San Francisco too. Do you guys want to go to the movie? I can see out of the corner of my eye, my husband standing there going, she's not doing what I think she's doing. And so,
would not be the first time that he's had that reaction to some of your ideas.
And because he was the disciplinarian. Mm. So he she's kidding. She's got to be kidding. I need a break, right? So that was the beginning of, we became godparents to these 2 young boys. And so again, moments, right? And when I went to go meet them, met their mom. And so she said, you're the only person I've ever let take my boys. And we, they started coming over every weekend during the week. I'd pick them up at school. We'd help them with their homework. And they just became part of the family, is the truth. And that they were big teachers to me in so many ways.
What would be a couple of examples?
Oh, well, we are alive. Okay. So let's see. Jovan was missing school. He was, and so nobody could find him. And oh no, he's fine.
Well,
yeah,
but the worry that must have been in those moments,
for sure. And so I'm just irritated. Like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, he's 2 days in a row he didn't go to school, right? So I remember we had a friend in the car, and we're driving down Jovan Street where he lived. And I swear I see him. I'm like, Gary, stop the car. Now it's dark out. It's not a nice neighborhood. I get out of the car and I start running after him. And so all these other kids going, it's her, it's her, it's her. Where is he? Where is he?
When you started this, my immediate reaction is panic. Oh my gosh, is he okay? Like, that's where my brain, heart goes. And you're like, I'm mad.
You're in trouble. You are in trouble, buddy. And then my friend's sitting in the car going, was that safe that she did that? And Gary's like, I think the kids are more scared of her. Because and then he got into this great high school in San Francisco, and his teacher there was so extraordinary. And, he graduated with honors, like a really big deal in his family. And, it was just those, no one from his family came for his graduation. But the first thing he wanted to do was take his diploma to show his sister. I said, okay. And it's just this history, but he definitely turned himself around, and just good guy, really good guy.
Don't go anywhere just yet. We're going to continue this conversation in just a moment.
Check it out.
I am so grateful that you have chosen to spend your time with me here on the Nexus of Narratives. I know that time is our most invaluable resource, and I am grateful for your support by just listening. If you would like to further support the podcast and my continued work in this space, please go to www.nexusofnarratives.org. That is NEXUSOFNARRATIVES.org for more content, ways to support, and connect with others.
The Nexus of Narratives is a project, a passion project of mine in the Nexus Impact. So if you are looking for coaching services to become the type of leader that others want to follow, or help improve the culture and engagement of your teams, your organizations, and build greater community to help reduce lost costs due to turnover and inefficiency, reach out to me. I would love to help support you in your work. And if that is the avenue that you would like to go, you can find me and connect on my website. That is thenexusimpact.com or THENEXUSIMPACT.com. Thank you.
It makes me think about one of my many soapboxes of we as people, we're results of our environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally don't believe there's enough compassion given to people who come up in really negative environments and don't have those opportunities. And that if there's heart and compassion and openness shown, like you got, that Daniel got, who is episode 5 for anyone who hasn't listened to that one, it changes people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
For someone to see something in them, hold boundaries for
Mm-hmm.
safety and self-preservation, of course, but be like, you're also a human. You are capable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hold you capable and you're going to do this,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to, oh, well, you look like this, you grew up in this area, therefore this is all that you can do.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then,
Well, I think that there's also has to someplace be a drive in the person, like the belief that they can,
Mhm.
because as science has shown, is the tendency for old belief systems to pop up at certain times, especially when, it gets rough, but to have then the inner strength to go, oh, I don't need to go back there.
Mhm.
It takes work.
A lot of really intentional work.
Yeah, very intentional work. And to know that, you have people around you that can support you, because it's a very sad ending of Jovan, is that he really was doing well. And, it's kind of funny. He's got 3 kids. One is from one woman. The other 2 are from another woman. And so the 2 girls were born very close to each other.
Mm.
And so obviously the women found out that he was messing around. Okay. So they became friends to make sure he's a good father.
Mm.
It was super funny.
Oh.
And so I said, that's what you get, Jovan. But he was a very good dad. Really good
And good
dad.
on them.
Yeah.
For
very
choosing
good.
that.
Yeah. Because they could have chosen a lot of different ways, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure. And but Jovan's was always super likable, and they called him Speedy because he talks so fast, and he's always smiling, and he's a good guy, right? He's just a really good guy, heart of gold, and grew up in not a great place.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, so what happened is that it was Christmas Eve. He was parked at a stoplight, and literally somebody drove up next to him and shot him. From something I guarantee you probably happened 10 or 15 years ago that might have not happened. It was just a rumor in the street.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, wow, all that he had gone through to have this, things are working.
Right.
And he's got love in his life. And yeah.
The literal implication of what you said is, even whether it's metaphorically, it's in our head that those kind of programs, past comes back,
Mhm.
and we have to have the drive individually. That past can literally
Yes.
come back.
Yes.
And that's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also because it's someone else didn't overcome, do their own work to see past, to grow, whatever,
Mhm.
held that for that long.
well,
to not see his change.
It's just really, really interesting in that, just in certain circumstances where so much happens that's not true based on somebody said something. And I'm like, who knows what happened?
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, you don't know if it was true or not.
Right. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
But something somewhere in his past, they thought he did something to somebody that they know. And because revenge is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that the revenge is what kills us.
All of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what you are putting out there, it's come back. It just might not be today.
Mm-hmm.
But it will come back in your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
And so I'm thinking about as we like zoom out
Mm-hmm.
from these, because I see themes of my own, but for people who might feel some sort of a relation with like different moments of pieces that you've shared, like how can your experiences create connection for people?
I think that all of us have a purpose. I really do. And that I'm a firm believer in that we were put on this planet to have an extraordinary life. And extraordinary can look very different to some people. To someone, extraordinary means I'm flying in my private plane. But to somebody else, extraordinary might mean that I'm doing good work in my neighborhood. So it's not what it is. It's that inside of you, do you feel fulfilled? And so there's always, like I remember when I was talking about sitting in that class the first time, is there was something missing for me. And it wasn't on the outside, it didn't look like that, but that's how I felt on the inside. And so what was really missing was my contribution.
And what did that feel like in your body when you're like, I knew something was missing? What was that
I
experience?
felt kind of like a little emptiness.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was feeling that emptiness. I was like addicted to running. So you could be addicted to good things, and you could be addicted to not so good, unhealthy things, right? But it was overkill. It was overkill.
Because somewhere there's like if I keep up with this,
if I do this, then I'll feel better. And it wasn't like I wasn't like sad or something. It was just like, I think that there's just more joy, more passion, more aliveness.
When do you remember the first time that you felt that joy and aliveness?
Oh,
which you may have already shared.
Yeah, wow, that's I don't know. I could think of times in my childhood that it was just so fun, right? And just even when it was like crazy things with my brothers, because even when we would tease each other, like my brother would always yell at me for wearing his clothes. Because I went to Catholic school, we could only wear clothes 2 days a month, like our own clothes. So I'd always steal one of his pair of pants to wear to school. And so he would always yell at me, and I'd be like, oh well, I came home from school. He was standing on the front porch with my favorite jumper on. Now he's 2 years older than me, okay? And he literally went to the top of the hill in our yard and started rolling down the hill in my jumper. And I'm looking at my mom, why are you letting this happen? And she said, he asked you not to wear his clothes. This is what happens. I'm like, oh dear God. But it was funny.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so, like literally it's a pink and white jumper and my brother has it on.
Who's
and
probably much larger than you.
He's
2
taller.
years as a kid is a big deal.
Yeah. And I'm like, I learned a lesson. Like when somebody asks you not to do something, don't do it. But he did it in such a fun way. So that there's just so many of those moments. I mean, one of the most precious moments is my niece when she was 1.5 years old. And I was going through chemotherapy because I had breast cancer. And so when my family was driving me crazy at home, I'd hop on a plane and go see my sister in LA. And Isabella was only a year and a half. And, you know, little kids don't care how you look. So she'd pull off my baseball cap and all my hair's falling out, right? And she'd just giggle. Now, those are moments of joy.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think that is like anytime that I start, things aren't clear, I literally would always go see my nieces because I just laughed.
Because kids, they
Yes.
have no filter.
None.
So much joy in the most random things.
Yeah. And I felt useful too.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, Kathy, will you do this? Will you do this? Of course.
Hmm. So the other thing I'm noticing is Kathy just, when she's like, this isn't working, she's on a plane somewhere else. There she goes.
So true. So true.
So how about for anyone who might be listening who can feel like some sort of resonance with any of the moments that you've shared? What did you need throughout these moments of your life to feel more connected to people?
That's a really good question. Again, I'm not sure if it was it wasn't like a thought in my brain. It was an intuitive feeling that drew me towards something.
Mm-hmm. So you were just like drawn to joy, drawn to serving.
And people.
Yeah.
I mean, people are fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
It's just got to find the right ones.
The right ones, yeah. the nieces who will pull out your
Yeah,
hair that's on its way
exactly.
out.
Or just, you know, people that also want to look at life as possibilities versus, because we do have rough times. We all do. And so, but if I keep focusing on the rough times, I lose sight of what's out here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to surround myself with people that want to, like, well, what else is there? And not that, and love where I'm at, but see what else is possible. And for me, it's always like, how can I even show up better for people? Love deeper, laugh deeper, you know, like both sides of the coin. So if I'm going to cry about something, cry about it. And then when I'm going to be joyous, be joyous.
All in.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever one it is.
Yeah. Because when you're in the middle, like that's the unfulfilledness.
Yeah.
Kind of I don't want to use the word decay, but it's kind of a numbness.
I was thinking numb.
Yeah.
That was the word that came
Numb.
to my mind too. Just like there's some mood stabilizers that's actually how they describe it, is like instead of having the high highs and the high lows, you're just like hanging out in there. And
That
so
would be rough.
I think so too.
Yeah, that would be rough. Like, it's kind of like if you ever want to change your mood, go play golf. Okay? Because it's like, it's always so funny to me. It's like, what am I getting mad about? Whack.
I don't know if it would make me more mad or not. It's not something I'm skilled at.
Well, you definitely have to practice. It's just so funny. I remember I played golf one time with this group and we were at a wedding and this guy was just getting super mad on the golf course, and this really good golfer goes, you know, you're not that good to get this mad.
And that will be a nugget that we can
Yes.
take into some.
Yes. So think about that.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking that about for the viewers too. It's like, wait a second. This isn't worth what all this energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think about the little piece that I took out of one class somewhere at some point in time. It's blurred in my brain, but it's like, what is the absolute worst thing that you think could come out of this not going right? Is the world going to end?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Right. And you won't know until you do it.
Yeah.
Because it could be like, wait a second. I made up all this drama in my head that this could possibly happen. And look what did happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was fun.
And it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a great time.
Yeah. That's great.
I love it. So then for anyone listening who can feel some sense of relation, is what might you say to a past version of yourself?
Well, I would say, Well, that would depend on what decade.
I mean, you can give several answers. We got time.
In my 20 decade, I would have said save more money. And in my 30 decade, I would say my 30 and 40 decade would be, well, no, 30 is just good. That was very, okay. My 40-year decade would be, you don't need all those clothes.
I feel like she's talking to me right now.
And I think, no, in all seriousness, I think that my younger self, I would have said, spend more time with your family early.
That's beautiful.
I think I took them for granted. And then when I realized I'm taking them for granted, I look back and go, wow. Not to, be sad about the lost times, but I would have done more of that.
Just like recognizing the thing, I missed out a little bit there.
Well, I think they missed out, but I missed out too, for sure.
That's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
And then if anyone is still listening, I always say this with the last one, if anyone's still listening and they're like, I can't relate to a single thing she said, I think she's bonkers.
Okay.
How could your stories create connection for people who have different beliefs and different experiences?
I think, I'm not sure if it's my story, I would just say that I just think regardless of what our beliefs are about how we view the world, everyone deserves to be here and be kind and be respectful and start looking at one another as to what's great versus what's all not so great.
Yeah. It makes me think of what your husband said to my husband yesterday.
Oh.
He walks up to him. They're just staring at each other. And he's like, what are you doing here? He's like, what are you doing? He says to DJ, my husband. He's like, I don't know. I'm overthinking. He's like, yeah, you are. And he goes, I don't know how to stop doing this. So he had said in a nutshell, like, with everyone that I go up to, I find no matter what they do or have done, what do I love about this person? And how can I build on that?
That's really good. That's really good.
With any interaction with people. Because and this is one of my beliefs too, is like, we don't all have to believe the same thing.
Yes.
We have so many different political spheres, other beliefs, socioeconomic, racial, whatever. The world would be a really boring place if we all thought the same way.
Exactly. I mean, there's nothing greater to really sit down and have a heated conversation with someone and it doesn't ever get low it never hits below the belt. Mm-hmm. It's healthy.
Yeah.
And, I never saw it like that. Or look at this. You learn this. You could learn this. I love that.
Mm-hmm. So how would you approach that for anyone who's like, okay, cool. Love the idea of coming together with people, but how the heck do we do it? How do we have those?
I think Gary said it perfectly. What is it that I can build on with this person? What are they interested in that we could start talking about?
Where's that commonality?
Yeah.
Between. We don't
and
have
it might not even be something you're interested in. However, you could learn something. Mm-hmm. It's like, what do they want to talk about? Mm-hmm. I think so often we think I need to be the talker. No, I think it's better to be the listener.
Yes.
The best advice I ever got was be interested, not interesting.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because then that carries to so many different avenues of growth, learning, compassion.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Beautiful. And I had another tangent and I lost it.
Okay. Well, here we have it.
Here we have it. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
No, just it's a pleasure. You're incredible.
You're incredible.
Super proud of you.
It. Thank you.
You're so amazing.
Well, thank you for sharing all of this.
And you need to know that you are the perfect woman for DJ. Because he does think a lot.
He does.
And
I do too.
But... Well, yeah, but at least you're spontaneous and huge, great sense of humor. And it's good for him.
At one point he said, how do you just like talk? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you just like keep talking. I'm like, well, yeah. But what do you mean? And he explains to me how he actually rehearses every single thing that he says before he says it. And I'm like, sounds like torture, man.
Too much work.
Yeah, just let it out. If it sucks, try again.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
it's okay.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
thank you so much for your
You
time.
are so welcome.
I'm so grateful. And now let's go enjoy the
Perfect.
rest of Kapa.
I love it. Let's
All
go.
right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, so deeply for spending your time with me here on the Nexus of Narratives. I hope that you found this to be a tremendously valuable use of your time and your capacity, and that this might help you to create greater connection and compassion in the spaces all around you.
This will be my on-the-go setup.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, like, unscrew and like metal and tangle.
How many of these have you done?
In this kind of setting, this will be my 4th in this setting. I've recorded, this will be my 16th recording.
Wow.
So before I turned a dance studio into a podcast recording space.
Perfect.
So it's like we put everything up. I have a friend who has a media production business, so he did all of the setup
Wow.
for that. But me doing my own makeshift phones
I love it.
setup.
It's
A
great.
handful of these.
It's great.
So we had a few trial and error learnings. So at least you're not gonna experience that.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Here we are.
I love doing this stuff, so.
Yeah. I was like, you're gonna be natural.
But wait a second.
Yeah.
You edit it?
I do light editing.
Okay.
So I'll cut this beginning part, probably put it at the very end
Okay.
because it's kind of fun to have that. But otherwise, it's like cleaning up the audio. If there's any moment where you're like,
That's very impressive.
oh no. But it's all about, we're having an authentic conversation
Yeah.
and like the good, the bad, the messy, the weird.
Yeah. Totally.
That's it.
It's great.
So